Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ed and Stefano Unleashed. So today is episode 4, but unfortunately, due to real life getting in the way and Stefano letting me down, look at him there, miming away, hey? He's always the joker, isn't he, eh?
I'm just repeating what you're saying.
Stefano is not able to join us because, like I said, real life's getting in the way. So we've had to record this a week early. So where are you going to be when this goes live then, Stefano?
I will be in Chicago away for my birthday weekend.
Oh, nice. Well, we all hope you have a great time. Not too much drinking, I hope.
I don't plan on it, actually.
Awesome, man. Anyway, let's move straight on to our first segment, which let's talk about YouTube channels. Now, I just want to say to everyone out there who may follow my Space Invader 1 YouTube channel that I haven't made a video for quite a long time. Basically, because of my new job role over at Lime Technology, I've been settling in and getting used to how everything works. So I decided to put that channel on pause for a while, and I've only been making content over here. But I've got a few videos that are in production that are going back onto my channel, and so watch out for them soon because the channel will be coming back. So what I thought I'd do, Stefano, is we both run YouTube channels, and how do you find running your channel on a day-to-day basis, and what do you find the challenges of running a YouTube channel?
So just to kind of back up a little bit, I almost hardly ever post anymore.
Right.
I work a full-time job. And then that takes up a lot of my time.
Can I ask what your full-time job is for the viewers who don't actually know?
Yeah, I'm just a systems administrator. So just, typical
Nice.
system admin stuff. So that takes up a lot of my time.
Mm-hmm.
And, then you come home and you got to do chores. And when you spend 8 hours a day at work and then you have to do chores when you get home, or just generally just cleaning up or whatever, even the act of eating dinner takes time, right? And you got to clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
It's just hard to stay motivated to continue making stuff. So if I do make content, I'm staying up till 11, 12, 1 o'clock at night, and it can be really tough. And then on top of that, if you have kids, you've got to go do their activities, and then there's holidays and just all these things that are always getting in the way. And it's actually pretty challenging to consistently make content, especially like you. I'm the only person on my team. So
yeah.
I got to do the filming, editing, recording. I guess I said that twice, planning everything, or emailing all these different companies. And it's just a lot to manage. You got taxes that get in the way.
I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of time it actually takes to make a short video. And many times I've had people say, oh, Ed, can you make a quick 10-minute video on this? But on the creator side, a 10-minute video is certainly a lot more than 10 minutes or even an hour, 2 hours. For me, a lot of my videos will take me 20 to 30 hours, to be honest, from start to finish to make. I'm not sure if that's me being super slow, but what's your experience with the time to make a video, Stefano?
I try not to think about it too much, but I can definitely say that short videos take way longer for some reason. I guess because you're trying to figure out, it's like a puzzle. You're trying to figure out how to put the most information in and keep it as short as possible. So you have to be very, very specific with your words. I think that makes it more challenging. And just using the Unraid digest as an example, those are typically 4 to 6 minutes, sometimes less, and it probably takes me a solid 8 hours to make just one of those. And then meanwhile, I can make a video that's 20 minutes long, and that probably takes 6 hours. So I don't know.
Yeah, very different to what people think. Anyway, my channel is coming back, and the first video is going to be about a container called Ersatz TV, which is a really awesome container. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that one, have you, Stefano?
Nope.
What it is, it's super cool. It allows you to make your own TV channel, basically. So you kind of choose what media that you've got that you want to be in your TV channel. So if it's a bunch of, say, 1980s TV shows, you can kind of put them all in and say, I want these to show. And the TV channel will basically broadcast those episodes randomly or in a certain order, whatever you prefer.
Nice.
And you can also intersperse them with actual ads. So a lot of people, they'll download an ad pack from, say, the 1980s, 1990s, and so they'll have the official adverts from those kind of years being played at the same time. And so you can come home from work and go into your office, what have you, into your kind of front room. You can put on the channel, and the channel will play through things like MB Plex. You can add it as a channel. And you might be kind of halfway through a Stargate Atlantis episode. So it's just like the old days when you'd come home from school or college and there'd be an episode half playing and you'd have to kind of fill in the gaps in your mind of what had happened beforehand. So it's really kind of fun, and you get to see episodes that you'd never normally watch. And, a lot of times, for me, when I'm watching something on my media server, it's sometimes hard to kind of think what to watch, and you're thinking, oh yeah, I've seen that, what should I watch this? But then when you've got like something on a schedule that's coming up, and it may be random sci-fi episodes, if you make your own sci-fi channel, it's really, really cool. So that's the first episode back on the Space Invader 1 channel. And one thing I was worrying about with that is I was thinking, well, if it's like streaming out 24/7, I don't really want it to be using my hard drives. But it doesn't actually wear the hard drives. It's not reading from the hard drives unless actually someone's watching the stream.
Okay.
So it's keeping track of where everything should be internally, and then only when someone accesses the stream, it starts transcoding and pushing that out.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's really, really cool. So, look out for that, guys, on my Space Invader 1 channel. And on the Uncast channel, we've got a really cool video that it may have actually been released before this episode. So if it has, look at the video before this one. But we've got a really interesting podcast interview where I have interviewed Tiffany, the co-CIO of Unraid, and Eli. And it's a deep dive into where Unraid is now, where it came from, and what's coming next, and some really cool announcements of some new features. So check that out, guys, if you want to know all about that, about the state of where Unraid is now. But talking about videos on the Uncast show, there was recently a Jellyfin video out, and I had a question on that video that I've heard many, many times, and that is about hard links. Now, Stefano, I wonder if you can just explain to our audience what hard links are before I go any further.
So I don't really know, to be honest, because I only use soft links.
Okay. Sorry. Right. Okay. So hard links. Okay. So basically, imagine you've got a city. Okay. So you're going to Chicago. Yeah. Like for your birthday.
Yep.
Right now, while this is being broadcast. So if you're going from where you live, there might be a signpost pointing to Chicago. Okay. But then from where I live, there'll be, I see on the camera there, that was my hands. 2 signposts pointing to Chicago, but Chicago only exists in one place, okay? So a hard link is basically 2 references to that same file on the same disk. So if you delete one of the hard links, the file is still there. It's only deleted when you delete both of the hard links. So when there's nothing else referencing that actual physical file on the drive, then the file is no longer there. So hard links have to be on the same file system. So if it's like a pool of disks, it has to be in the same pool. Or if it's on individual hard drives, a hard link can only exist like on the same file system. It can't exist across, say, kind of from disk one to, a soft link, symlink. It can be anywhere. It's just like a shortcut. So hard links are slightly different, but it allows the file to exist in 2 places in the file system.
Oh, okay.
And to the file system, it's a separate file in a sense. So a lot of people have said to me, why do I not like hard links? Because I always push that I think the best way to store media is to have, on the Unraid array anyway, if you're using a Z pool, it's slightly different. But on the Unraid array, because we can have drives spin down when they're not in use, I always really like to have, say, my movies on one disk and my TV shows on another, or kind of movies on 2 disks, TV shows on 2 disks, just so they're not mingled up together. So if I'm watching a movie, all of the other disks can spin down in my server. But if I have them spread across everything using high water, every time I go to my server and browse a movie or go into the movies, it's going to spin up all of my hard drives. So I like it when I'm watching a movie that only one drive needs to be spun up, or a TV show only one does. And if I watch the next episode of a TV show, that drive's already spun up. Nothing else has to spin up. Okay.
Yeah, so
that's why I like to keep it like that. But people use hard links who use torrents. Like, I don't use torrents. Personally, I'd rip all my own Blu-rays and DVDs, and I prefer to have like control over, the bit rate and how things are that way. So for me, I don't really need to actually use hard links anyway. But if I was to use hard links, I would actually do it in a slightly different way than there's a guide online called Trash Guides, where it's recommended that you set up a media share and you have all of your media inside of that. And then inside the media share, you have like, say, TV shows, music, movies in separate folders, and you have a download share inside of that as well. So that's on the array across all of the disks, the cache, all of the hard drives in your array. So then if you're using torrents and you download your favorite Linux ISO, and that goes into the download share, and then you want to look at that on Plex, you have the R's make a hard link to it. So it's still physically in the torrent software and it's able to be seeded, but it's also able to be in Plex, Emby, or Jellyfin, renamed as the correct file, and it can be there instantly, and people call it an atomic move. So that's why people like it, because you don't have to actually copy the file from, say, your torrents into Plex and have the file exist twice, taking up twice as much space while you're seeding. So then when the seeding's finished, the torrent software can delete that hard link and it's no longer in the torrent software, but the file still exists and it's there for Plex. So people say, why don't I like hard links? I think hard links are cool, but if I was to set them up, I'd do it slightly differently. I would still have my granular shares set up. So I'd have movies on disk 1, so TV shows on maybe disk 3. But then inside of movies, I would have a downloads folder. And inside of TV shows, I'd have another downloads folder. And then in my torrent software, such as Deluge, I would map separate paths into those folders. And then using kind of labeling, so if it's a TV show or a movie Linux ISO, I would have it, when it's finished, like move it into the completed and then with the subcategory of what it is, which will then put it actually in the correct disk. So, in the movies downloads or TV shows downloads. I hope I'm explaining myself well here.
I think it's a little too early for me.
And yeah, it's very, very early for you. And so the hard links would work exactly the same, but you can keep it on individual disks. But it's a bit more setup to do on the torrent client side because you need multiple paths to where the file ends up after it's been downloaded. So I did promise in the comments of Jellyfin to explain why I do or don't like hard links. I do like them. They're really useful, but I don't need them. So that's my answer for that. So
very concise,
yeah,
and well explained, sir.
And so anyway, talking about other videos, by the time this video goes live as well, we should have our app of the month, which is Duplicati this month, which is a really cool piece of backup software that allows you to backup really anything from your Unraid server, any share you want, either to local storage elsewhere, another server elsewhere, cloud storage like Google Drive, OneDrive, all of the kind of normal culprits it can be backed up to. And the good thing is that you can actually encrypt it locally and then it uploads it in chunks to cloud storage. So when it's in rest in the cloud, even Google or stuff can't see what your files are. So it's very secure and it gives you a way of being able to send backups to the cloud but still stay private. I'm not sure if you've ever used any software like that yourself, Stefano?
Nope. It's all too advanced for me.
Do you? I'm going to ask you, do you actually make backups of your important stuff? And if so, how do you do it?
Yeah. I do backups. I have a server locally, and I just use rsync to go from one server to the other. And I used to have a server in Florida, and I would just have WireGuard VPN set up between my server and that server, and then I would rsync over that.
Yeah.
And obviously I use user scripts to have some sort of like automation to it, right?
Yeah. Well, at the same time as the Duplicati video goes out, there should be a blog post on the Unraid website to do with backing up, where you'll see a blog post that I've written about backups, and I've included like a script that I use where you can basically just put into an array the various shares you want backed up. For people who don't like kind of scripting and stuff, I've tried to make it as easy as possible because rsync is super powerful and I think it's such a great tool, but it can be quite inaccessible for new users if they're not experienced with any CLI stuff.
Yeah. And it's funny because like people ask me all the time, like, oh, well, what about file versioning and, or whatever. And I'm like, I'm just backing up data. Like I don't need file versioning. I don't need, snapshots. Like I just, it's worked well for me for, I guess, 10 years now. Like I don't, if I needed that level of, I guess protection or recovery, I would probably look at something else. But I just have good practices, I guess. I don't know, like 3, 2, 1, right? So
yeah, so there's quite a lot you can do with rsync as well. Is you can set it so when you've got your source and destination, if something's deleted out of the source, you can have it deleted out the destination, so it's like a strict kind of mirror of how it is. But what a lot of people don't realize, what you can do is you can have it so when it actually deletes the stuff out of the destination, is it doesn't fully delete it, it just moves it to another file, and you can have it renamed like deleted on this date, and so you keep the files, so you've got the best of both worlds.
See, I just never deleted anything. It's never a problem.
Yeah. But anyway, for those of you who have watched the podcast with myself, Tiffany, and Eli, you may have heard Eli saying that there is a new feature in Unraid being worked on currently where there's going to be a full backup system built into Unraid. So you can back up to another server or another destination all from the GUI, and it's going to use rsync on the back end, I believe. So that's something, it's not out yet, but it's definitely coming. And I think that's going to be a real game changer really for Unraid, for us to be able to have
that'd be really cool.
Backup built into the GUI. It's something,
especially with scheduling.
Yeah. So you can do it all from the GUI. So that's going to be super cool.
Do you use Unraid's like cloud backup for your USB? You use that, right?
I do. Yeah. I actually really like that.
Yeah, it's nice.
I find it really useful. But also what's changing with that as well is there's going to be an option to be able to actually upload it to a cloud provider of your choice and have it encrypted before it uploads. So, I think Eli was saying it's going to use rclone on the back end for everything. So,
that's a good idea. That'll be really nice.
Yeah, so that's definitely something to look out for. I'm really excited about that because it's the built-in backup system for shares and the flash drive. It's going to be really, really, really useful. So anyway, just talking about Duplicati again. There's a very similar container called Duplicity. I think that's how you say it. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I don't think anyone's ever quite worked out how you're meant to pronounce that yet. But
Duplicity.
And another very cool piece of software that I like is another container. I'm not sure how many of you guys out there have used it. It's called Your Backup.
Never heard of it.
Backup is an awesome piece of software. What it is it basically you run it on Windows, Mac, Linux as well, and it just allows you to do a backup of whatever computer it's running on, either just like file backups or a full system image, and it allows your Unraid server to be the target. So you run like a server on Unraid of Your Backup, and then on the PC clients, you run it on there as well, and it will just at scheduled times do full image backups and file backups across your Unraid server, and it will work across the internet as well if you set it up to do so, or across Tailscale, something like that. So that's really cool as well. So anyway, should we move on onto Unraid news, Stefano?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Unraid news. So we've had Unraid 7.1 since we last spoke, Stefano, I believe.
Yep, 7.1, 1, and 1.2, I believe.
Yeah, so 7, as everyone knows, or 7.1, introduced wireless support importing foreign ZFS pools, as we've mentioned before on the podcast. There's some fixes to various bugs. There was a mover empty disk bug that potentially could have caused data loss. That's been patched. And a VM OVMF boot problems for Fedora VMs, where Fedora VMs wouldn't boot or you couldn't install them due to the OVMF. That's now been fixed and the OVMF changed. So Fedora VMs can be installed and boot absolutely fine. So on to other news, the Asus router botnet exploit. Stefano, what's all that about, man?
It's a big problem. Big problem,
Yeah.
Ed. So apparently there's been a firmware hack where the attackers have loaded their SSH backdoor into the firmware. And so now, even allegedly, even if you update the firmware on some Asus routers, not all of them, but some of them, specifically Soho routers, even with a firmware update, that backdoor will stay there forever. I don't know how they accomplish this. That's pretty impressive. This also seems to me to indicate that, like, if you have one of the affected routers, that like the only way to get rid of it is by trashing the router.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then there are other routers that are also affected, but updating the firmware will actually clear out that I guess that backdoor. And then there's also recommendations for like blocking some IP addresses after you've removed them, deleting the authorized keys. So there is some known workarounds, and this apparently doesn't just exclusively affect Asus. Some other brands have been affected, but we're not sure if it's like the same exploit or quite exactly how they went about it.
So I'm assuming this is affecting routers that are having like the admin web UI exposed on the WAN side. Am I correct in assuming that?
So I think for some of the other brands, yeah, like if you haven't changed the default password or the password's too weak, then the attacker was able to gain access, upload their custom firmware or whatever it was. And then alternatively, for some other ones, the users actually had to download some package, and then the exploit was basically installed by the user, right?
All right, okay.
So, but there's like also some uncertainty, like it affects like VPNs as well and OpenSSL on the routers. So there's a lot of like complexity going on, and just, I don't know. Attackers always amaze me with like the things they come up with to hack people's devices and stuff.
So my opinion is with these things, like, never expose your router's web interface online, no matter how strong your password is, because it might, you never know when there's going to be an exploit, and these kind of things happen. So
I wonder how many like people's devices they've done that by accident, or they come out of the box already exposed. Because like a good example of this, and it's not really like a home Soho device, but like even like my Ubiquity stuff, like, it's not directly exposed to the internet, but I can still access my router through the internet. And I hate that that's like the default thing. And you can disable it, but still, it's just like, this whole everything connected to the web all the time is not good. Next, it'll be your dishwasher.
Well, I don't care if anyone hacks my dishwasher.
You say that until it starts running water 24/7.
No, but I think
it's time to wash the dishes. That was my dishwasher mouth opening impression.
It looked totally good to me. I thought you were my dishwasher for a minute. but no, like it just goes to show how useful things like Tailscale are. If you need to access your router, like if I ever need to access mine, it will always be through Tailscale, or before I use Tailscale, it would be through OpenVPN. And it's just another good reason why you should use something like pfSense. Use an open source firewall, because in my opinion, it's much more secure than these commercial routers like, Asus, etc.
Yeah, plus like you get pfSense has like IDS, right? So active detection and prevention, right?
Yeah, you can do all of that on it. It's not easy to set up, but yes.
And I'm sure a lot of these like home routers have no sort of IPS at all. I mean, I understand it's probably like expensive to do or set up, but I mean, a lot of home routers are like nearly $300 now, and that's
some
the
of
same.
them are so expensive, aren't they?
Yeah, and you can get like an entry level enterprise router for about that.
They look cool, though, Stefano. They've got lots of aerials, and they look like a spaceship. Come on,
like crowns. I'm not hating on them. I'm just saying they're expensive, and you could spend for almost the same amount of money. You could get an enterprise router that has IDS and IPS, and that should, in theory, protect you from malicious attempts.
For sure. These cheaper routers, well, not even cheaper, like you say, but these ISP routers, man, you're really just asking for trouble, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're so bad.
in Britain anyway, we've got like BT, Sky, and as kind of major ISPs. They just buy the cheapest routers they can. They're not going to put any investment into the router. They give you the router, and you rarely ever see any type of firmware updates. Most people don't even know that it's possible to do that for their router. It will be there as long as they have the router on day one. It will be there, and it won't ever be updated unless it's been built in to have auto updates built into the router.
And the same kind of goes with like modems and gateways. Like the ISPs usually have the ability to remotely access those devices and update them or modify them so that like, oh, hey, you changed your DNS, we're changing it back to our DNS, like all that kind of stuff. A lot of people don't know that. Normally you can, in the United States anyway, you can disable it most of the time. Like if you have like
I've heard Comcast basically divert DNS. I'm not sure if that's true, but you can change your DNS, say on your PC or something, and Comcast will have a rule in their actual firewall of the router to redirect any traffic on port UDP 53, and it will still go through their DNS. But a good reason to use DNS over HTTPS, so they can't do that. But
the problem I think too is like we're kind of moving away from routers, and we now have these like super advanced modems, and they're not really even modems; they're just gateways, right? And the gateways can do routing and switching, but it's like a lot of the times, at least in the United States, you're stuck with that, and removing it, especially for, I'm somewhat skilled with computers, as you might know. I mean, I've been around for a few years, and the undertaking, even for me, is daunting. And there's no way the mass population is going to try and bypass their gateway to prevent things like that. So I don't know. It's only a matter of time before you get locked in and they're just scraping all your DNS stuff.
Yeah,
everyone's going to have to be subscribed to a VPN.
Everything's just monetized nowadays. So I'm sure forcing the DNS through, from what I've read about Comcast, it happening, is basically just to collect data and be able to sell it. What are you searching? So Comcast don't want to give that up. So
yeah, and I always like hearing they're like, oh, your data's worthless, and it's like, if it's so worthless, why is everyone collecting it and selling it? Now I understand they're collecting and aggregating it, and that's how they make money. But it's like, hey man, you should just give me 10% of those sales. Just saying.
Yeah.
Imagine if we aggregated all of the data that, like, so Plex is selling our data, or everyone's selling our data. If we aggregated all those companies, we would actually make some money.
We've actually got a little thing to talk about Plex again, doing more shenanigans, this episode, but, we'll leave that till we get to that section.
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah. But, going back to the ASUS routers, I guess, what users should do, in my opinion, disable any WAN access, as I've already said, in your router's admin panel. Never expose a web UI to the internet. Always use a VPN if you need to connect into your home network. Update the firmware as soon as possible. Change the password on your router. Update the firmware to the latest one. I'm sure there's like patches for this exploit now, but hopefully if you update before you've been exploited, you should be okay.
Do home routers typically update themselves? Like, can you schedule that?
On what, sorry?
Do home routers typically like have a scheduling process for them to update themselves, or?
That's a really good question. I
haven't used one in a long time.
I couldn't tell you exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, neither do I.
I would kind of think no, because if they updated at a certain time, it would cut off the internet for the people using it, and that might,
I feel like it's a no, because I mean, every month now it's like, oh, this TP-Link home stuff has joined the botnet that now is, DDSing, or part of the DDS, or oh my gosh, whatever. It's part of a botnet.
I know what you mean. What you mean, Stefano.
And now it's ASUS. The next week it'll be Cisco and Linksys. I don't know. It's gonna be every D-Link who still exists somehow.
But anyway, talking about security, Stefano.
Yep.
It's always good to have a password manager. But Microsoft, I think, don't actually agree that's such a great idea. From what I'm hearing about Microsoft Authenticator dropping its password feature. Have you heard about that?
I have heard about that.
Yeah. So, for the audience out there, if you're using Microsoft Authenticator and you're using it to store passwords, well, I think from July 2025, Microsoft removing that feature fully. And you will probably have been warned that stored apps in the password stored apps in the password. stored passwords in the app. You're being warned to export them before they're deleted, because Microsoft are just pulling that feature and they're going to delete all of your passwords. But they are saying that you can actually export easily to the Edge browser and all your passwords will automatically go there. Surprise, surprise. But if you want to put it anywhere else, well, you have to export it manually. So thank you, Microsoft, but no thank you. I do not want to be using the Edge browser.
Not for my password manager anyway. So I actually have Microsoft Authenticator, and I had no idea you could use it as a password store.
Yeah.
And so I just opened the app just to like check it out, and I clicked on passwords, and they have a big banner that clearly says autofill via Authenticator ends July 2025.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's safe to show this on screen, maybe.
Yeah. But, this isn't a feature removal. It's Microsoft saying use Edge or else, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
It's like the software version of getting locked in a room with Clippy and Bing together, isn't it? So,
what password manager do you use, if at all?
I use self-hosted Bitwarden.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I expose it only through Tailscale, so it isn't exposed online at all.
That's good.
So moving on to kind of AI news, this is quite interesting, I think. I'm not sure if you've heard that United Arab Emirates have made ChatGPT Plus free for all of its citizens.
I did not.
Obviously they're thinking that it's important for all their citizens to have access to a good AI. Obviously, United Arab Emirates is a very wealthy country, so they can probably afford to strike up deals like this. But I would never imagine the UK or United States giving all their citizens free ChatGPT Plus. Interesting to be hearing about that.
It's actually kind of funny in a way, and I think this is actually a good move because think about how bad search engines have become. And I don't know about you, but like even using ChatGPT to just shop online has become remarkably good. And I don't know like what's going, I guess like search engines are so focused on trying to make money by serving, like specific links or ads or whatever, that they've really shot themselves in the foot. And I'm at the point now where I basically go straight to chatgpt.com or whatever and search for whatever I want instead of just using Google or DuckDuckGo or whoever. And their little AI assist thing is even worse than just going straight to, an AI. Even Copilot's honestly pretty good.
So do you use the paid version of ChatGPT or the free version?
Right now, I just use the free version.
So what I'm wondering is how long is it going to be before in between your ChatGPT chats, there will be an inserted ad?
Yeah, I do wonder about that pretty often. I don't know. Like, I'm not too worried about it. Like they should get paid. I should probably pay for it because
at the moment, I'm sure the training data of everyone using AI is far more valuable than any ad revenue.
Yeah.
But as soon as we're not useful for the training data, I'm sure we'll start seeing ads in both the free and the paid versions, in my opinion. But
yeah, basically my attitude right now is kind of wait and see and keep using it until it gets so bad that I have to do something else. Kind of like YouTube ads.
Yeah. So, yeah, excellent segue there, Stefano. So there's been a new version of a paid version of YouTube Premium Lite. So It's a cheaper tier of YouTube Premium, but it has no downloads, no background play, but it does remove ads. But
some ads.
There is a major caveat, with that removing ads, Stefano.
Yeah, some ads.
Yeah.
So it's not perfectly clear, in my opinion, just reading what YouTube has put out. It's not perfectly clear what ads are actually being removed. They have genres of YouTube where there will be no ads, like gaming, beauty, news, and some more, but they don't specify what more is. But at least the gaming part, I think there's a lot of people that ingest gaming content, me specifically, and that's kind of good. And I imagine a lot of like young children watch a lot of gaming as well, like Minecraft videos and stuff. So at least they got that one target. But shorts, you still have to watch ads on shorts, music videos, and also other content, whatever that is.
Yeah, the no background play, I think, is like, Surely they could let people, have background play. So if they're listening to a podcast or something, you can just minimize the app and it can still continue.
Yeah, they should just
do we
allow
really have
that
to pay
one.
the extra? What is it? It's like $7.99 for the Lite, and how much is YouTube Premium, the full one now? 15?
The United States is $13.99.
$13.99, yeah.
Yeah.
So, considerable amount more. Although you do get the YouTube Music. I've never used YouTube Music ever, to be honest. I'm a
Neither have
Spotify
I.
user. But,
So before, when their music app was separate and you could host your own stuff or access your own stuff through it, or however it worked way back in the day, that's when I used it. And then when they sort of started trying to monetize it and I don't know, like do the YouTube thing or the Google thing of destroying it, I stopped using it, and I've just never gone back to YouTube Music. I've had YouTube Premium for a couple of years now, and for me it's been worth it, especially the last couple of years as I've sort of made less YouTube content, and I can also share it with my kid. And if your child is on YouTube, you absolutely have to have
100%.
ad blocker. I mean, it is atrocious, the kind of ads that get served.
I'll tell you, Stefano, once I was like this close, to making a video on my YouTube channel that was titled, "These ads are not suitable for my YouTube."
Yeah.
Because when YouTube started, saying, you had to verify whether your content is suitable for advertisers, I was quite cross because I would be watching one of my own videos, after I've uploaded it, checking.
Yeah, to do like do checks.
Seems okay. And there'd be adverts like, I remember there was one, like it was in the kind of winter, I think, just after the Ukraine war had started. So in Europe, the price of gas and things like that were very, very expensive. So people were really worrying about, being able to heat their homes in the winter, and elderly people, on their pensions who don't have a lot of money, obviously, it was really, really hard for them. And there was this advert that had this little kind of heater like this that was meant to kind of plug into the wall, and they were trying to make out that it would heat your whole house. And, going, oh, these two students at like Harvard University found out their dorm room was like too cold, and so they made this thing, and, like big oil is trying to suppress it, buy it before it gets banned.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, okay, YouTube, so you can actually check my video, go through it and check that I haven't got 2 seconds of some, I don't know, Kylie Minogue song. Sorry, that's a bit old. I don't know, some kind of music in there that will get me a copyright strike or something. You can actually check that content every time a video is uploaded, but you can't do the same for adverts, for like scams, basically.
Yeah.
And, this was about £100 for this stupid little heater that defies the laws of physics. And I'm thinking, well, that's why I wanted to make the video, and kind of I actually collected a whole load of adverts. There was another one as well where they were saying that ISPs basically will give you a package and then they will throttle it later on. And this plug-in device apparently keeps the floodgates open. What it was just a Wi-Fi repeater, that was worth probably about $10, and they're selling it for like 50. And, it will probably improve the Wi-Fi in one room for someone. So they think, oh yeah, it's actually working, but it's totally missold as what it's actually doing.
Yeah, misrepresented, yeah.
And it's something you could probably buy for like $10 off Amazon, the exact same product.
Yeah,
probably better than this one. So anyway, I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent.
No, I feel like it's justified.
I always kind of like rant, but
no, like I think you feeling crossed is justified. I mean, just looking at ads in general, like, oh, here's this video game ad, and look how fun it is. But then the game itself is totally not at all the same as the ad. And the scrutiny that we as content creators get is way more like, oh, there's blood in my advertisement, oh, there's blood in your YouTube video, demonetized, banned. But you can have blood and guts and spit and arse in your advertisement, and it's just not fair. And it kind of applies to like AI too, not to get too far off topic, but companies are allowed to look at our YouTube videos and train their AI for free, or artists, all the paintings that get uploaded or whatever they upload, they're allowed to use all that for free. But God forbid if we use 2 seconds of a popular song on our YouTube video, we get demonetized and a strikeout on our channels or whatever. And it's just like, it's absolutely not fair. And YouTube, have you done any of those surveys that YouTube sends about like, hey, tell us what you think about YouTube? Have you done any of those?
I haven't, to be honest. No.
Dude, they're so pointless. You should look at some of the questions they ask, like, how do you feel how YouTube is fair for all content creators? And it's like YouTube is absolutely not fair for content creators. Like it's a self-feeding loop. The algorithm is a self-feeding loop and just only serves content that YouTube thinks is going to make money, which, you know, is kind of fair in a way, but like not fair to us, right? They're the smaller channels, but like, I don't know, man. YouTube is nothing but hypocrisy in my opinion, especially with their ads.
Yeah. With the Uncast channel, we only monetize the channel because we knew we don't really want to have it monetized and have adverts for everyone to watch in it. But if we don't monetize it, the YouTube algorithm will just, you know, it just doesn't want to serve the videos because YouTube only wants to serve ads. That's really only what it wants to do. And the video, the actual content creation is just to make you watch the ad. And you know, that's really what YouTube is. So.
And honestly, I've been really happy with YouTube Premium. I actually have completely forgotten what it's like to watch YouTube without a premium account, and every time I do, I'm always like, oh my gosh, like there's pop-ups and the videos, ads, and they're all over the place. I am glad that YouTube is like at least trying this premium light. We've been begging for a cheaper option for, I don't know, nearly a decade. But what really scares me is it's like they're like a drug dealer, like, here, try premium light. And then a year from now, it'd be like, oh, it's only going up $1. You can afford one more dollar. And then next year it's gonna be like, oh, it's only going up another $1. You could afford another $1. And then now YouTube Premium is gonna become even more expensive, and Premium Lite's gonna be more expensive. And it's just like, my gosh.
And probably like, you know, they'll have a separate one like, oh, if you want it on, you know, for your kids, you know, you need a YouTube Kids Premium Lite.
Oh, I hope
because the other one doesn't kind of cover that.
Yeah. And that's actually one thing that's nice about YouTube Premium right now is that I have one account and it also covers my kid, which is awesome.
Yeah. You know, I'm using YouTube Premium, but actually another family member is giving me access to theirs. So, although we don't actually live in the same house.
And we just got demonetized. This whole channel. Strike. One strike for Uncast Show. Are we allowed to get strikes for this channel? I think because as long as it's our channels, it's okay, right?
Stefano, come on, stop it, man. You've got to behave yourself.
Me? You're the one over here suggesting terrible things.
I wasn't suggesting. I was just saying that that's just something that I have done.
I do think this YouTube Premium Lite may actually be worth it. So you could find out really quickly. You get 1 month for free. You could try it out. Don't forget to remove your credit card information and start paying for it anyway. But I would say definitely try it out because I think YouTube ads have gotten so bad. It's finally, like, you know how we talked earlier about, like, I like to sit and wait with ChatGPT. Like, am I going to pay for it? I probably will at some point, but I don't know when. But I think YouTube is definitely 100% at that point where your experience with YouTube is absolutely a million times better if you just pay for it. And the support that you give to content creators is way better through YouTube Premium than watching ads. So, I mean, just if you're on the fence, just go for it. You're going to be happy in the end, I think.
You know, if I had the choice between Netflix and YouTube Premium, I would choose YouTube Premium, to be honest.
Same.
You know, because, you know, it makes me wonder, you know, maybe YouTube make the ads so bad and so annoying in order to force you to...
That's, I mean, they have been doing that. Because, I mean, think about it. Like, think about the history of YouTube ads. First, it was ad at the beginning, ad at the end. Or maybe just ads in the beginning. And then it was, now we're going to force ads at the beginning and end. You either opt in or out. And then they're like, oh, now we're going to have mid-rolled ads. And you can opt out of mid-rolled ads, or we're just going to force apply them and choose where they go. And like, they've gotten so good at ad delivery that now if you just check mark mid-rolled ads, whatever programming they have will find very perfect spots where it knows people are watching and put an ad right at the cliffhanger. So you basically are forced to, do I stop watching this video or do I wait for the ad to end to actually find out how the YouTuber resolved an issue or did this thing, right? So they've gotten really good at making it annoying. It's like trying to watch Dragon Ball Z back in the day and they're like just about to fight, and it's like, oh, advertisement. So, I go use SAR TV or whatever you said, like to get that original experience. Yeah. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, I think you're right. So anyway, some gaming updates.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk fans, Cyberpunk 2's coming out. You've only got 5 years to wait, so 2030 we should see that, apparently.
Better than 10 years.
But we have got Doom: The Dark Ages, was released a couple of weeks ago, I believe,
Yep.
Stefano.
Are have you played any of the Dooms, the new ones, like 2016 plus?
Yeah, I played the 2016 one. Yeah.
Did you didn't play the one after that?
No.
For shame.
How about you?
I've played all of them except for this one. I've been I'm still playing Oblivion, so I haven't I don't like to have too many games queued up at the same time. And there's this other game that I'm on the verge of buying that also has dark in the name, Age of Darkness, or it's got Age and Dark, actually. Age of Darkness. I'm thinking about picking up to play with some friends. So this for me is on the back burner, but it looks amazing. I've watched a lot of people play it, and it has like kind of the same sound track as the other games. And I mean, who doesn't like medieval combat with guns?
Yeah.
In the future.
Sounds cool.
And you get to drive around in a giant mech, and everyone loves mechs, right?
Yeah. And there's another game called Roadcraft, some sort of vehicle simulation in disaster zones video game that was released a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, games like this are always interesting. Like there's one in like Russia where you drive through like thick mud and snow and recover vehicles and stuff. I'm not saying that this thing is the same, but like you got to go like repair, like make roads to go repair bridges and things like that. And it's got like your vehicles can get stuck, I think, and I don't know. Seems interesting. It's like the farming simulator, which, by the way, looks like a lot more fun than you would assume.
Okay, so moving on. We've recently had Computex recently, and looking through various things that have been released there's been some pretty interesting things. Seems to be, if you remember last episode, I was ranting about my recent trip to Japan, where I saw a CPU cooler that had a screen on it, and I thought it was the best thing ever I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
But it seems sticking screens on things is getting very, very popular. And at Computex, there were lots of all-in-one coolers that had water blocks with animations on them. We will show a few on screen now. I'm going to try and share my screen so you can see.
While, oh, you got it already. Hang on a second. That's an advertisement. You tricked us.
So, look at that screen there, Stefano, yeah? So you can make it a bit bigger. It's kind of curved, and apparently it's motorized and can turn around. So,
oh, that's cool.
I tell you, I'm going to have to rebuild my server now, not in a rack mount case, because how am I going to see that in my rack mounted server case? Hey?
So there's also one, I think it's called, I'm trying to look it up real quick. Mini Cube. Yeah. So I think it has 4 screens on it.
Oh, wow.
Let's see, Mini Cube cooler. Yeah, so it's kind of got this Minecraft theme going on to it, and the AI cooler has screens all the way around it. And I'm trying to pull up. I think it may have a screen on the top as well. But anyway, like it looks really cool, and my kid's like really into Minecraft, and we're on the verge of him needing a new computer. And so since he loves Minecraft, this I think it's called a Minecraft. It's a mini node. I think it's called Mini Node. It'd be perfect to build him like a Minecraft theme computer with that thing. Mini Cube. Sorry, not Mini Node. Yeah, it's got screens on all sides, even on the top.
Nice. Talking of case and stuff, there's a really cool case that I saw. If I share my screen again, there's another advert for you. Check out that case there. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. I kind of like non-standard cases. I can't think. Thermaltake. They have a chassis that I've wanted for nearly a decade. But it's like $500 just for the chassis.
Check out check out that case there. That looks gorgeous. Like it should be on kind of like the set of the latest Aliens or something, doesn't it? It looks like it's straight out of a sci-fi show.
It does. I love that though.
It's just so cool, isn't it? I would really like that. Let's see if there's any other photos of it we can see. And that's it from the side. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I love that.
audience question: would you have that as your next Unraid server? Hey, well, maybe if we can fit enough drives in. But
Yeah,
it's a very big case. So
I don't see the option to store any drives in there.
Maybe around the back somewhere or something, or in that top piece. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. I assume it's water cooled, so maybe the radiator's up there.
Stefano, we can make it work. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I wouldn't, but sure.
So we've had an announcement as well from AMD, another graphics card, the 9660 XT, which is only going to be $299. And apparently it's 6% faster than the RTX 5060 Ti. I do like it how AMD are kind of copying NVIDIA's numbers kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like 9060, 5060.
They're all synced up.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like a nice little graphics card, quite compact as well. Looks like it's going to be pretty good for 1440p games.
That's really good. Because I don't know what the whole industry has switched off over, if they've switched over to 1440p or not, but I think if you haven't, that's probably about perfect, 2560 by 1440.
Yeah.
For gaming. Whatever you do, just don't get 4K yet, because then you'll never go back.
So, I've got my RTX 5070 Ti, and we've got these kind of reports coming in. This is, back from April. User reports of melted power cables on RTX 5070. And we're wondering if the RTX 50 series are safe. Well, there has actually been a PSU shown at Computex this year. If I can find that and bring it up.
From Sonic?
I believe so, yeah.
My 4090 has survived the last couple of years so far. I haven't removed the cable, the 12-volt power cable from it yet to check for damage. It's been running, so I'm just going to assume everything's fine. But I also have my GPU vertically mounted, so that way, there's like no gravity. Like if you have it like this, right, gravity's always pulling down on it, and they're always like, oh, yeah, I've got to get it in there perfectly straight and no bends, and there's all these like requirements, right? And so I figured if you do it vertically, there's pretty much no way to destroy it.
And another thing that can make things more likely to have problems with the power cables is these little angular bracket things you can get to redirect the cable in a different way. So a lot of times they're made really poorly, and that can cause a lot of problems. But this new PSU, this Seagate PSU, basically it detects heat on the actual wires going to the GPU, and it will actually monitor that and shut it off if it gets too hot to prevent the melt.
DeBauer has a great segment about that GPU. I don't know if you've ever watched DeBauer on YouTube.
I haven't, no.
A fantastic channel. It goes into pretty good detail about it and explains it really well. It's kind of funny how advanced power supplies are becoming. They used to be just these simple little machines, I guess, and now it's like, oh, they do all these different, we have PFC and checking and all. I mean, there's all sorts of things these days, and it's all because graphics cards are getting worse somehow.
Yeah. Just my 5070 Ti. I just can't believe how stupidly big the card is. It's just ridiculous. Luckily it's in a 4U rack case, and it's not putting any strain on the PCIe socket. But, for a normal tower, it, in my opinion, it's just ridiculous. It's just it's just we went from waiting to happen.
We went from like one slot size cards to 2 slot because they needed these massive coolers, and at the time it was like, oh, they're so massive now, and it was like, okay, fine, it became the new normal. And actually, let me grab something from right there. So we went from those 1U, or not 1U, sorry, I'm thinking about servers, those 1 slot to 2 slot, and then we got these behemoths. This is a GTX 5070, I believe. Yep, GTX 5070. Absolutely massive, right? 3 slots.
What one's that, sorry?
GTX 5070.
5070, so...
Yeah, pretty old.
Oh, 570.
Oh, yeah, sorry, 570. I'm used to just saying adding zeros in front of everything now.
I was getting confused. I was thinking,
570. 570. Add a 1 and 2 zeros in front of that. So, back and this card was controversial because it was so massive for the time. And then so to think about how not powerful this card actually is, and then you get a Titan, right? Titan X, and it's 2. And now we have like the new like 4000 series plus, or even 5000 series that's somehow bigger than this.
Yeah. And I think I've got a card over here. Have I got one of my cards here? I don't know where it is. I had a 3080 somewhere that I thought was quite big. Oh, no.
How does this happen? We're reverting, chat. We're reverting.
So, here's a 2080 Ti. I can't find my 3080, but the 3080 was much bigger than that. And when the 5070 Ti came, it just made the 3080 just look like it was a young child.
Yeah.
Basically. And I was just thinking to myself, can you imagine if the same had happened with CPUs? So can you imagine if like a CPU was as big as the GPU kind of thing?
No, not at all.
But
CPU coolers, air coolers have gotten massive.
Yeah.
Especially because some of these CPUs are like, 500 watts. Yeah, that's just like idle.
Yeah, and take a look at this, Stefano.
Okay.
Talking about CPU coolers and air coolers, well, Noctua have now actually, in 2026, they are going to actually release their first actual liquid all-in-one cooler.
Oh, this isn't their pumpless one? I thought they were coming out with a pumpless one. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. No, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. So Computex also, Noctua had talked about releasing a pumpless AIO. This has been a thing for years, as far as I'm aware, but it's never really come to market. And I think Noctua is going to bring it to market, so it'll be the first one to have a pumpless AIO. I'm going to try it out. Well, it depends actually. If it can't cool a 14700K, then I'm not doing it. But I really want to get one just to try it out.
Yeah. As well with the air coolers, they've even started putting screens on the top of air coolers.
They have.
At Computex, there's like an air cooler, and on the top of the air cooler, it's got a screen. So,
and even on the sides of the radiators, there's screens now, so you can have little animated things jump across. We're slowly going to cyberpunk. You're having your dreams come true.
I think this is the new RGB, isn't it? Screens on.
Yeah, RGB is so 2019.
It is. It's just so yesterday, man.
Yeah.
Something else I want to show you before we stop talking about Computex, and it's about Noctua again.
Yeah,
they're making something quite different.
They're
making a mouse. So a mouse with a fan inside of it. Do you think it will be cheaper than a normal mouse because part of it's missing? It does look a bit like a dead skeleton of a mouse or something, doesn't it? Like a kind of decaying skeleton.
No, I imagine it'll be 10 times more expensive than a normal mouse. Considering mice have basically skyrocketed in prices. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, once I did pay a ridiculous amount of money for a mouse, and I'm not going to tell you how much it was. It's too embarrassing.
Okay.
Okay, so some interesting things in Computex this year, I think.
Let's see how many of it actually comes to market, though.
Yeah. True.
They always release interesting things or talk about releasing interesting things, and they usually don't come to market. I'm actually curious now when a GTX 570, I keep wanting to say 5070, came out 2010.
Wow, so the GTX 570 came out 2010. What's that, 15 years ago? It's crazy, isn't it? Time flies.
It does, man.
I'll tell you, I was watching a really interesting video. I'm going to go off on another tangent. I'm really sorry.
You don't have to apologize to me. It's just it's the whole point of having a show.
I'm apologizing to the audience. Really,
okay.
To have to listen to me totally go off on a wild tangent. I was watching this.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think the whole reason why they're here is to listen to you.
I feel sorry for the audience. Anyway, so I saw a super cool video, and it was about the theory that the world ended in 1999.
That sounds familiar.
Because they're saying, the 50s had its distinct style and kind of culture with the kind of hairstyles. The 60s did with all of the colors. The 70s, the 80s, and the 90s were all really distinct. And then it kind of got to the year 2000, and we've had, tech increasing really, really quickly, and the tech has changed. how people dress in 2005 and now is pretty much exactly the same. There's no distinct cultural style of anything. And so they were comparing it to The Matrix, when in The Matrix it says that in 1999 it was the peak of... Yeah, and it was kind of going on about that, and then it was just saying about various things that could have maybe caused things to change, and it was talking about the Mandela Effect. Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you remember when Nelson Mandela died in the 90s?
I feel like I do.
Well, he didn't die in the 90s. He died in 2013.
Yes.
But I have distinct memories of him dying in the 90s, and apparently hundreds of thousands of people around the world do as well.
I'm one of those people.
And it's called the Mandela Effect. There are loads of other things like C3PO. He actually has one of his legs is silver, and no one remembers that. And when you actually look at the original footage, his leg on the left-hand side, I believe, from the knee down is actually silver. And that's another thing that people never remembered as being a fact. And this video is all about saying how maybe there was some kind of weird event that happened that kind of changed time and reality slightly and made it very similar to how it was, but slightly different. Anyway, I'm not really
hold on.
how I got on about that.
Before you move on, though, this is one thing I got to say is I like about living today is that I've now lived long enough that my clothes that I wore back in, early 2000s are back in style. So like I literally just get to bust out the same shoes I've been wearing for the last 15 years and wear them again today. Like nothing's ever changed. Yeah.
Anyway, I think I better get things back on topic, really.
Okay, fine.
And let's talk about some contained open source stuff. So Mini.io, which is a container for, what is it?
Storage.
Object.
S3 storage.
Yeah, Object S3 storage. Apparently it had an update recently where about 120,000 lines of code were removed in an update which basically removed key features like user bucket management from the free web interface. And a lot of the web interface was just totally removed from this container. And now if you want those, it's enterprise only feature with a paid license. And the paid license is, I'm sure you'll all be going out and buying one. It's only $24,000 a year for 200 terabytes of storage. And by the way, you need to provide the storage yourself. You don't actually get any storage. That's just to be able to use 200 terabytes of storage.
It's for the privilege.
24,000 a year per 200 terabytes. So what was not behind a paywall before in the community edition is now behind a paywall. Personally, I think that companies, when they do this, are shooting themselves in the foot a little bit because the community gets to know these containers from using them, the community editions of them, and then they are used in enterprise more when people discover them. Like if you imagine Nextcloud put half of their stuff behind a paywall, I don't think, Nextcloud would be adopted half so much, but it's people like us who enjoy tinkering with things. We will install things like Nextcloud and then maybe kind of suggest having it used in our daytime jobs.
Okay, hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a problem with with expectations. Everybody wants free software. And so obviously developing software is expensive. And so as these tools become more popular, they start being abused by being used in a business environment.
That's very true.
And then that's how we end up with this situation occurring over and over and over again. Now, should their pricing model be that expensive for home users? Probably not. But I mean, I think we're kind of become our own victims with the expectation that open source software should be free. And I'm using the royal we here. And I mean, people just don't want to pay. If they don't have to, they don't want to pay for it, including me. There's things I don't want to pay for either. Which I've been trying to do better at, and by actually donating money and subscribing to like open source programs or whatever. But
me too.
I think we've become victims to our own circumstances. Because if I try to think back to the 90s when it was like, oh, Power DVD, you could use the free one to make copies of your CDs, and that was it, right? So and you could hand out copies of StarCraft to your friends. But then, over time they started putting those features behind the paywall, and you had to buy the full copy of Power DVD 9 in order to get that feature. But you bought it, at least when you bought it, it was good for life. At least that for all the updates for that version anyway. But like, I don't know. I feel like we're just victims to our own expectations, maybe.
Yeah, but with things like this MinIO, I think when you've got the community using it, they're kind of testing it out. Bugs are kind of found. It's just going to really kind of get rid of that. For them as a company, I think they should have done this slightly different, in my opinion, because there was no warning about it. People just found out with the update.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's absolutely
it's
not
a total
cool.
rug pull. It's like, here's the update. Oh, by the way, half the user interface has disappeared. You now need a $24,000 license to continue using it how you were before. Yeah, you could still use the old version, but then you've got the problems with no security updates. But apparently it's going to be forked. People are talking about forking it and calling it Max.io instead of Min.io. So
I always call it
that.
Mini.io, even though I know it's Mini.o or Min.io. I don't know what it is actually.
I always say every name of every software incorrectly.
Well, yeah, like branding has actually become kind of difficult. Like everything's because of URLs. Everything is like put together. So you look at the URL and you're like, oh, that's all one word.
Well, I blame the Mandela Effect. I'm sure it used to be called that once.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it has been around since 2016, so it's almost old enough.
Yeah,
it's like 9 years. Woo.
Moving on to our favorite topic, Stefano. Yeah, our favorite topic, Plex. So Plex,
another victim.
Plex have done something else. And
the same thing.
I'm going to share something they've done.
Remember when Plex was free and awesome?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that Plex is a fork of XBMC in 2008, which also went on to be Kodi.
I feel bad. Maybe I should have given them $5 or $10, 10 years ago for using Plex, so we wouldn't be in the situation we're in. Well, I shouldn't say we, because I left Plex forever ago.
Yeah.
Aha!
I've actually got a Plex lifetime license that I got probably in about 2016, and I've never used it.
Oh, really?
So I'm their favorite user, I guess.
Yeah.
Somebody bought a lifetime license and never used it.
I was so close to finally buying it, and then they shot themselves in the foot so long ago, and I'm like, thank God I didn't buy it when I did.
So what has happened is users have actually got, let me share my screen a moment, Stefano, so everyone can see this. So basically, Plex users have had this pop up on their Plex accounts recently, saying, for Plex accounts created before the 20th of March 2025, we require your consent to sell your personal data as described in our privacy policy. Well, selling personal data and privacy doesn't really sound like very much. So their privacy policy doesn't sound very private to me.
No.
So,
well, they anonymize it, so that way they don't know it's specifically you, Ed.
Mm-hmm.
I somehow don't believe it.
But, this is just another thing where it's just so obvious that Plex are just collecting every single piece of data about what you do on there.
Yeah.
Apparently they're collecting when do you pause? When do you do this? How engaged are you with this? And just selling it. And when you're paying for a product, so if I was to buy a lifetime Plex subscription now for $250 and then I find they're selling my data, I really wouldn't be very happy.
Does this only apply to their streaming stuff or also any content you stream to yourself? This
is just anything, basically. So when you sign up for a Plex account, and obviously if you've joined after March the 20th, you've already agreed to this. It's probably on page 20 of the EULA.
And this text that you have to use a magnifying glass on.
So, because we all read 20 pages of that before we click accept.
I think on the plus side, at least, you do have to opt in. Like you're not automatically opted in currently.
You do here, which is really, I must give Plex their due. That is good that you actually get the option to opt in. It doesn't kind of say you've been opted in. If you don't want to, you can opt out.
Yeah.
I got to say, full respect to Plex for doing that. But really, do you really need to sell data as well?
No.
Come on. Most people want Plex, for self-hosting, for privacy, and not so. Data can be mined and see what we're doing. Like I believe Netflix have been boasting recently about how they kind of sell data to advertisers and they can tell how engaged people are with the content and that kind of thing.
I can go ahead and tell you now that as soon as an ad comes on, I basically pull out my phone and start browsing the internet, or like I just totally zone out. So every ad that ever plays, I basically turn off as a human being.
Mm.
And it's like, I don't know how effective advertisements are. Apparently they work, because if they didn't, there would be no ads, right?
Yeah.
But
So
there's no way that, like, well, I guess that maybe that's not true, because, you know, the amount of people that I hear singing ad songs and like, oh, did you see that advertisement? It was so funny. I'm like, why are you watching ads? Like, I don't
the
understand.
most effective ad is the ad that you don't know you've been affected by.
Yeah, yeah. But like, I don't know, man. Like, there's so many people that just like love watching ads, and I don't understand. Like if you go to YouTube, like you can look up like, oh, the State Farm's ad for funny ad or whatever. Like you can watch that stuff. I'm like, are ads really that good? I don't think so. I don't know, because I literally turn off. But it's such a weird thing to me.
But yeah, talking as well about, we're saying that at least Plex are saying this is opt-in, and there is a button to opt out, which is really good. There are kind of some things where you don't even get the option to opt out. Like I think we spoke about it, in a previous episode. The Roku TVs, they had had an update where it's saying basically, if you want to continue using your TV and be able to change the source of the HDMI, you have to click agree. And there was no disagree button. So it's like either you click agree or you can't do it. And that basically, what you were agreeing to is you couldn't actually take Roku to court. You had to use one of those forced arbitration courts, which basically means that the company runs their own court, really. And and so, you're being, any kind of grievance you have against a company, you're pretty much taking it to the company. And a really interesting example of that was, I'm not sure if you ever heard of the story, is there was a lady and her husband went to one of the Disney theme parks and went into a restaurant there and had a really severe allergic reaction to peanuts or something, or some nut allergy that shouldn't have happened. I think she died. Did she die? I think she did.
Don't remember.
I'm pretty sure the lady died, yeah. And so what Disney tried to do is their 12-year-old daughter had actually signed up for a Disney Plus trial, and in the terms and conditions of signing up and clicking I agree in the Disney Plus trial, it's saying you're agreeing with Disney to have arbitration rather than be able to go to court. So they tried to use that so the husband couldn't take Disney to court for his wife dying in their restaurant.
Yep. So
I'm pretty sure, if I remember, that was the story.
Dr. Ting Chung Tang Son suffered an allergic reaction after eating Raglan Road Irish Pub. Eating at Raglan Road Irish Pub. Love Irish pubs, by the way. So she had a food allergy, died, and they had a Disney Plus subscription, and because of that, they tried to withdraw.
Yeah, it's just they're so kind, aren't they, these companies?
It's interesting watching the downfall of companies like, Plex. It's like, I kind of wonder if they shot themselves in the foot. Like, who is asking Plex to provide TV? I don't know anyone in our community, or I've never seen anyone ever be like, it'd be a great idea if Plex provided free TV to us. And I think because of all that development work and all the additional research and licensing, they've kind of shot themselves in the foot, because now they need to earn more money to provide that service that, as far as I know, nobody actually wanted.
Yeah.
And so now they're spiraling to try and make up money for those losses, or that investment, I guess, really. And it's just like, but could all of this had been avoided if they just stuck to like what they originally sought out to allow people to stream their own media?
I wonder if they had a big injection of cash from some kind of investor, and then the investor starts kind of like steering the direction of the company more than the actual company itself.
That is usually how it goes.
And so, then they kind of start bringing in the TV stuff, and then it kind of spirals from there.
Yeah, I mean, look at VMware, right? Like, VMware used to be everywhere. Like, VMware is the greatest, it's the best. And then one day they're like, oh, we changed our licensing model, no more perpetual licenses. And basically, if you're not making multiple billions of dollars a year, we don't want you as a customer.
Yeah.
Or even like Jira. Have you ever heard of Jira? I think it's called Jira.
I don't think so. No, what's that, Stefano?
Yeah, it's from this company called Atlassian. So it's like a issue and project tracking software. And so Jira was really super popular, and then they basically were like, oh, you can no longer self-host this software. And it's like, well, hang on a minute, we bought this license, it's perpetual, we want to self-host it for whatever reason. And they're like, nope, no more. And it's like, they always start off so great. And at some point, I don't know if it's because of greed, or I don't know what the root cause is. I'm sure it's money. It's always money. But at some point, they're always like make these just decisions that make no sense. And it's like I don't get it.
Yeah. The people making the decisions are not the people who are in touch with their user base. That's the problem.
Yeah. And again, like, people should get paid for the work, but
definitely.
But there's definitely a point where you start doing things that nobody wants, like selling data. Like, does Plex really need to sell our data for money? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, all I'm going to say to that is check out the recent video on the Uncast show all about Jellyfin if you're interested in an alternative to Plex where they don't sell your data. It's fully open source and you really are in control of your own media server.
I went to Jellyfin's website because I was like, you know what? I should donate to Jellyfin. And they have a link where it says help pay for other expenses. I've been clicking on it. But as far as I could tell, it doesn't actually let you do anything. Because it says they don't ask for donations. You're either volunteer or intend to help. You can do a sponsorship like DigitalOcean or JetBrains, but I don't think I can actually donate any money.
Oh, right.
At least, I haven't really looked into it. I want to. I feel like I should.
I am going to check, and I'm going to put a link in the description if I can find a way that we can actually donate to the Jellyfin project.
We can't let Jellyfin turn into Plex.
No, and I'm going to be donating as soon as I find how to. So, yeah, that's a great idea, Stefano. And, anyone else in the audience who wants to donate to Jellyfin as well? Join Stefano and I in trying to do so.
I'm just tired of losing good software to corporate greed.
Anyway, Stefano, I think that pretty much brings us to the end of what we got to say this month.
There is so much more that needs to be said, though, Ed. But no, I do agree.
So have a great time for your birthday, which is today when this goes out next week.
Almost, but yeah.
So, have a great time.
I'm having a great time.
And, I can't wait to have you back for another live episode the beginning of July. So let's hope that the first Saturday of July isn't the 4th of July. So
yeah, doing it. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, doing it live is really fun to be able to integrate with the audience. Imagine like dealing with the audience right now about all these like donations and Plex and stuff like that. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us today, Stefano. I just can't take you seriously, can I? You're putting me off. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and please catch us in the next episode. And please subscribe to the Uncast channel if you haven't already, and do all the normal things like hitting the notification bell, etc. And we'll catch you all in the next episode. Peace.
Okay, bye.